For more important information, please continue episode 3, then episode 4 will be of sneak.
The U.S. accuses the Islamic Republic of Iran of supporting terrorism, while Iran itself is the greatest victim of terrorism in the world. And no country has fought against this evil phenomenon in the West Asia as much as the Iranian nation and its military forces. Iran has sacrificed many precious lives in support and defense of the nations of the region against violent and rampant terrorism and has always prioritized peace and stability in the region in its regional policies. On the other hand, within the country, various terrorist groups created with the support of the U.S. and some other countries have taken the lives of over 23,000 innocent people. Despite its claims of fighting terrorism, the U.S. has in fact been the main instigator, supporter, and agent for the spread of terrorism and instability in the West Asia region. As the current U.S. President has repeatedly admitted, U.S. military campaigns in the region under the pretext of the war on terrorism, whether in Iraq or Afghanistan, have achieved nothing but instability and the growth of terrorist groups. The U.S. must answer the question, not as a plaintiff but as the accused. On who has been responsible for the formation of terrorist groups and the provision of financial funds and military supports to dangerous groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and al-Nusra over the past decades. The U.S. has shown that it views terrorist groups as tools to advance its own goals and policies against countries, including in the region. Labeling Iran's support for resistance groups and Muslim nations in the region, who are fighting for the liberation of their land and human dignity against an occupying regime, as support for terrorism does not change the reality. Blaming the Islamic Republic of Iran is a futile U.S. attempt to protect the Zionist regime from accountability and to evade from U.S. responsibility for full-fledged and absolute support for the crimes of this regime. U.S. human rights claims. While the U.S. accuses the Islamic Republic of Iran of human rights violations, it has not only turned a blind eye to the genocide and war crimes of the Zionist regime in Gaza but has fully supported these atrocities. Now, it is using the destruction caused by the criminal attacks of the Zionist regime as a pretext for the forced displacement of the Palestinians from the Strip and the seizure of their lands. The claim of supporting the Iranian people and human rights comes while Washington has for years directly targeted the economy and welfare of the Iranian nation through the harshest sanctions, and boasting the economic pressure on the Iranian people as an achievement of the first round of the maximum pressure campaign. It is an undeniable fact that at the time when the Iranian people were coping with the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. government intensified economic pressure on the Iranian nation, disregarding the humanitarian consequences of sanctions. According to international reports, U.S. sanctions have not only targeted Iran's economy but also fundamental right to life of the Iranians, in a way that many lives were lost due to the restrictions imposed by these cruel sanctions. With such a record, the U.S. cannot position itself to criticize or raise claims in the field of human rights. It is no secret that Washington's human rights claims are nothing but an attempt to increase pressure on the very nation that it claims to be concerned about, which is another sign of the U.S. hypocritical approach toward Iran, the policy of global destabilization. While the U.S. describes itself as a supporter of the so-called rules-based international order and always speaks of the need to adhere to international laws, this country has at various times acted contrary to international rules and taken steps to spread global instability.